guys, aka Ben here with another episode of Drop Talk, and today we have a warrior, big wave legend, and pioneer on big wave surfing in Nazareth. Andrew Cotton. Was a good presentation.
I don't know about the pioneer bit, but yeah.
You were, and somehow in Nazareth, at least you were a pioneer. You know, you are part of the first guys that faced the waves of Nazareth.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I felt like more of a follower. You know, like at that point, you know, like there's people that have vision, and then there's people that sort of, you know, I was enthusiastic and I was keen, and I was just in the right time in the right place.
Yeah,
the pioneers are the guys like who thought of the project to begin with. Mm-hmm. You know, like
but I mean, how many guys surfed Nazareth before you?
Well, when it's big, like not.
Yeah,
I guess
when it's big, yeah.
When it's big, like probably. Yeah, just a handful, maybe. I don't know.
Pioneer. Don't be humble. Don't be.
No, but you know, like I think it's just, you know, the guys, you know, like who were in the city hall thinking of those ideas, you know, like and getting Garrett and sort of like thinking, oh, how do I do this, you know, like I think they're the sort of pioneers, you know.
I was Nazareth by then. I mean, I were here, and of course, on a different perspective, but I was definitely not connected to big wave surfing by that time. I was Nazareth compared to now, you know, when there was not many people surfing, there was not many history about big wave surfing in Nazareth. I was like.
You know, I actually knew like Nazareth was on my radar from before like, you know, the Garrett and the project, and but when I used to come to Portugal surfing, we used to, you know, if it was flat, we'd come to Nazareth, you know, and try and get a couple of waves, you know, when it was small. So it was sort of like I did know of it, and but I'd never thought of it as a big wave spot. And I think even then, like even those first couple of years, it was like, I think we forget like the surfing community didn't really take it seriously. You know, like they didn't really believe how powerful it was, you know. And I think, especially as a surfer, I sometimes I feel that Nazareth is best at like when it is like 6 feet, you know, like lefts and rights, barrels, heavy, really challenging. And then sometimes, like, when it gets a bit bigger, like, you know, it's just a hard wave to surf, you know, it's a hard wave, you know. And I don't think that comes across in some of, like, the footage or, like, unless you actually do it, like, from a surfing point of view, like, oh, like it's kind of like a little bit fat and it looks kind of like the guys just go straight, but actually going really fast, like just straight on one of those waves, can be challenging, you know, let alone trying to link turns or.
Looks easier on camera, right?
Yeah, I just don't think it sort of does it justice, and I thought, you know, like, back then I was like, you know, like, yeah, it gets massive, but you know, how many people really want to push themselves, you know, like. And then it was never really taken serious by I think it was like more like 2014, 15 when it started like being more accepted. Well, they had the big wave paddle tour started coming in.
Mm-hmm. And I was live before Nazareth. You were seeking big waves already? Like there was part of your vision?
Yeah. I kind of like, you know, my dream was always to be a professional surfer, but you know, I ended up just working in the surf industry and surf shops and surfboard factories. I manufactured boards, like I was a glasser, a sander, for a surfboard factory in the UK, near to where I live. And it, you know, in that I think working in the surf industry was a really good stepping stone for me. We worked very seasonal, so we had 2 months off, sometimes 3 months off every winter, like Jan, February, March. Often travelled every winter, but often travelled to places with big waves. I did a couple of seasons in Hawaii quite early on, like in my late teens. And I think that's, those travelling experiences really sort of lit up my imagination and finding my niche with it. Like surfing's quite a niche sport, but then I found that niche, which was, my mates that I travelled with or worked with were like really good surfers and often like way better skilled in small waves. But when the waves got bigger, I sort of that playing field was leveling up, and I was like, okay, right, well, I'm not the best short order, but I could kind of come into a different zone when the waves get big, and you just naturally gravitate towards that, like you enjoy it, you like it, you feel that you're better at it, so you want to do it more. And but I never thought it would be a job, like I almost sort of gave up on that professional surfing dream in mid-20s and sort of turned my back on the surf industry and sort of went into construction and just to try and make some money. And then along came sort of, the Nazaré scene, and it just put me, made me think, a lot was, possible, and I think it's just right time, right place.
Yeah. When did you felt like, man, it's happening, I'm living from surfing, I'm living my dream.
I don't think you ever really, think that. Of course, I'm living my dream. But I think that my first proper contract was in 2015 with Red Bull. So, and that was like it's like, whoa, this is real. But then it was like then you have to really prove yourself. You do that, you push so hard to get the waves, to get the exposure, to get, put your name out there, and then you sign a contract, and then you realise, actually, if I want to keep the contract, it's only a year.
Only 1 year contract?
Well, my contracts are generally 1 year.
Okay.
And then you're like, whoa, I've really got to work. That's the dream, but now it begins. Now you've actually got to work. But I love that. I love pushing myself. I love making projects and filming and just committing to surfing. And my biggest motivator is I always just sort of think I could be back on the building site at home in England. I was like, wow, that's the thing that's.
Yeah. It's funny because it's the same with me. It's like the same technique to motivate myself. When it's like something goes hard, tired. It's like, I could be on the military life,
Yeah.
I'm way better here, So.
Yeah.
But you talk about contracts and sponsors and how important is for a surfer in general, but especially big wave surfer. How important is to have a major sponsor because there's not many ways you can make money from big wave surfing.
Surfing, no, it's I think it's getting harder and harder. I'm trying to think. I think you just got to be really smart, and it's not. There is no tour. There's no real competitions, and even you win the Nazaré Challenge, you're not winning a big paycheck in comparison to what you have to put in. And
it's such an expensive sport.
Yeah. So there's no payday to speak. If you're a tennis player or if you play in a football team or whatever, you get there's a payday.
Yeah. They have the payday and plus the sponsor.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying how important is to have a sponsor, because without the sponsors, I mean, only if you win a contest, but even if you win a contest, like you said, it's not that big paycheck.
Yeah. Like, of course it helps to, obviously it's key. It is key to have, backers or supporters. But also, like, I think you can, like, it's not all about, I'm thinking, like, I was very fortunate in 2015 to sign a deal, like, but, I had 10 years before that of, like, working, surfing, traveling, going back to work again, like, it's a hustle, designing little fitness business. We did, like, a fitness business, and, like, any way to pay for the next surf trip or the next strike mission to Ireland, or, and I think that it became more like when I left in my early 20s and late teens, it was more about, the long trips. But as I got older, it was more like, okay, the long trips are too expensive and they're not cost worthy, like, they don't add up. So, what can I do in Europe for a fraction of the price and to get more impact? And I think, like, now, with social media and everyone filming everything, you can make half decent clips on your phone. Like, you are able to get stuff out there, like, so I think it's hard, but it's also exciting. And the motivation is to get a good sponsor, but there's also you have to work with the brands, like,
sure.
You have to make that happen. Like, no one's going to come to you with a contract ready to sign. Like, you got to hustle for that. Really hustle.
But one thing about you, and I might not be correct, but you have most of your sponsors are like long-term sponsors. You've been working with a while. Some people are changing from there. And this is something that happened naturally, or is something that you try to keep working with creating or building a relationship?
Well, I think everything's about relationships, and when you start working with brands, for me, it's not just, they're not just going to give me some money or some product. It's like, okay, well, let's work with this, let's make it work. And some years, like, again, it's like an up and down thing, like, it's about coming with ideas and plans and projects, and, it's not, it is about just going surfing, and doing your passion more and getting better at it, but also it is a job, and you have to work at that, and that for me, that's about it. Is about building long-term relationships,
But that part, it's exciting for you, or boring, or how you feel about that, creating projects and.
I think it's exciting, like, and that's what makes it a job, like, and that's what makes it, and I hate to say that, like, because, I see myself as like a professional athlete or professional surfer, but you become a stroke influencer. Like, you are creating ideas and projects and like trying to arrange shoots and but because that's just you want to get paid and you want to go surfing another year.
But I think nowadays everyone turned a little bit influencer, you know, because my job is to be behind the camera, but I have to be in front of the camera sometimes to promote my work, right? And you can have a bakery and you're going to promote the bakery somehow, So I think every job nowadays kind of have that side of influencer, or, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But especially, not especially, but definitely surfing have that side very present, where you have to promote and make these projects. But one thing that I would like to talk about is, of course, your presence here in Nazareth is very strong, and you build a strong name here. But you are very present also in Ireland, and this season you had the opportunity to go Cortez Banks, and I would like to talk, fade away a little bit from Nazareth and talk about most of the people or most of the surfers, travel to go surf in Bali and board charts and, long waves. And, you travel for cold waters, you travel to go to the middle of the ocean near to sharks to surf these giant waves. What's the motivation here? What are you seeking,
But the islands, like I've been going to Ireland since like 2006, and it's actually where I first sort of, it's my first like European big wave sort of like destination. And it was just one of my friends is from Northern Ireland, and he was a keen big wave surfer, and it was him that was like sort of like saying like, you don't need to go to California or Hawaii or Australia and pay loads of money. Like there's amazing waves on west coast of Ireland, and then so he sort of sold that to me. It was like, and I'd never been at that point, and I've been like to loads of places around the world, but I'd never been on my back on my back doorstep, like and so that sort of got that ball rolling, and he was right, like it was at that point, like it was amazing how big and perfect the waves get there, and I don't know, like I think that's what I loved about Nazaré when I first came, like that there being not many people out, like, and it's more of like rather than competition, it's more of a community, like, and I love that about Ireland. Like this time, we were there, and there was only like 4 or 5 people towing, but rather than like there'd be like 5 skis out there, and we sat in the channel and waited in turns, and you're like, okay, right, yeah, you can surf for half an hour, and then, you know what I mean, like a rotation system, rather than having like loads of jet skis racing everywhere. Like it was more like a more gentlemanly queue, and I kind of just dig that. I was just like, yeah, fuck, I was going to tow 4 or 5 waves, and then tow my mate into 4 or 5 waves, and then we'll both wait and watch someone else tow 4 or 5 waves, like. And Ireland for that has always been like that for me. And there's a mutual respect, and it's cold, it's gnarly, it's heavy. There's a real community there of people that spend, who've dedicated their lives to surfing cold waves and big waves, and just to be able to go in there and spend a little bit of time and experience that, I feel like really, really grateful,
And Cortez Banks, what was the...
The Cortez Banks mission was, I never in a million years thought I'd ever go to Cortez Banks. Like if someone had said to me, like even like 2 years ago, I said, well, it's just not going to happen, like it's just like not...
You were not interested?
No, I wasn't ever interested in. Like I just wouldn't know what it needs to break, like the size of the mission, how you even all go out organising a boat, like especially last minute, how you get jet skis out there, the whole thing, and actually Joe Lewis, one of the producers of 100 Foot Wave, sort of said to me, I think like last year, would you be up for a Cortez Mission if it was on? And I was like, yeah, of course, but it's hard to do a strike mission down the road, isn't it? Like for a swell, let alone on the other side of the world and 100 miles out to sea. And so it didn't happen last year, and I thought it sort of just got like swept under the carpet. And then I was actually in Ireland, and Garrett just called and was like, can you get to San Diego in like 48 hours? And I'm like, I was on the west coast of Ireland, and I was like, He's like, it's the best chart I've ever seen. You need to get there. Don't tell anyone. Don't bring anyone. Just go and get your board. And can you get me a board? You want to get a board from somewhere as well. Like, so you need to go to Portugal. You need to get the boards, and then you got to go. And I was like, fuck. It's like, why? And then it was just like, then the whole thing was just a trip. Like Bill Sharp had been behind the scenes, like organising this trip for over 2 years. Like it was run like a military operation. It was just like, the boat was massive. We had like 9 jet skis craned on. We had a full safety crew. It was just, the whole thing was nuts. Like didn't feel real. And it was actually like we got there in San Diego, got there that day. And then we were sort of, we hung around in the harbour for a bit. The boat left that night. And then that next morning, as the sun was coming up, we were like, we sort of arrived at Cortez Bank. It was emotional, you know, I think like, you know, yeah, it's almost like, almost like, yeah, crying, you know, like real emotional, like, what the hell? It was like this bright red sunrise. I could see the back of waves. There's birds everywhere. And I was like, shit, I can't believe I've just gone from like, just, you know, and been like a kid in England with a, you know, with a dream and then a bit of ambition. Just, you know, I've read and watched so much stuff about Cortez Banks. You know, I was like, what am I doing here? You know, like, and it was emotional. And then the whole day was just nuts. It's like glass, sheet glass, loads of sea life. You know, it's just, yeah, nuts. Crazy experience.
It's cool, man. I'm happy for you. You know, I mean, whatever Cortez Banks, it is what it is. But it's just like when I saw you guys going there, and I understood, of course, the mission that is going in there. You know, it's just like must feel good to be involved in a trip like that. You know, so I was just happy for you guys, and especially when I saw that you guys scored. You know, you guys were like 5 or 6 guys, something like that, surfing the whole day, clean waves in the middle of the ocean. So it might felt good for sure. But going back a little bit, I was talking about your motivation. I was saying, like I said, like most of the guys go board short and shorts going to Indonesia or warm water and stuff. But what do you see? Like, you spend most of your time in Nazaré, Ireland, and you're seeking big waves. What motivates, you know, is the rush of getting a big wave. It's the calmness of getting away from the traditional crowd. You know, what brings you passion about big wave surfing?
I think originally there was 2 things. I think the bigger the waves got, the less the crowd was. So it was like having that solidarity, you know, like being away. And so I think that was like a huge draw. And yeah, just kind of like loved that feeling of like, yeah, the ocean's like, yeah, but that, you know, like being in the ocean when the waves are big and powerful, or like and there's no one about, or I don't know, it sort of makes you feel alive, you know. And I don't know, like, it's just something just motivates me and draws me to that. And I don't know. And it's the surfing as well. Like I really fixate on the, you know, I love riding big waves and just like going down them, but also like the performance aspect and improvement, and you know, like I think, you know, at 25 or, you know, 30, like you sort of think, you know, you can't get any better or you can't get any fitter, and you know, still 15 years later, I still feel like I am getting better, and I am getting a little bit fitter, and I don't know, like, so I kind of just, you know, it's just like a train, you can't get off it. I do feel like it's like a roller coaster, or like, you know, just can't get off. So keep going, you know.
And I'm not sure. I mean, for sure you keep training, but I remember one time that you spent a lot of time in the pool, and I remember going to the pool and swimming in the pool and talking with a friend that was working as a lifeguard in the pool. He said, this underwater is a beast on the pool. So is that training is something that always been part of your life? Is something that you enjoy doing? Is something that you just do to feel better in the water?
I think regardless of whatever I did, even if like I was working on a building site, like I'd still train. You know, like I still enjoy that fitness. You know, it's super important to me. But surf, you know, with my goals and what I want to do, and you know, it's a good motivator. You know, to push yourself. You know, like, you know, especially in the pool, you know, like getting comfortable with that uncomfortable. You know, like, because it's nice to do that in a controlled environment. Like really feeling yourself, like, you know, thinking that you can't go anymore, or you know, you're pushing yourself to the max, and then trying to push it a little bit more. And I think that's what you do in the ocean. Like, it's always been about being, you know, like, because it doesn't matter how big the waves are. Everyone has that threshold where a wave's big. Like, it doesn't matter if it's 2 foot or 20 foot. At some point, you become like, this is too much. Like, you know, you're out of your comfort zone. You know, and you either like turn around and get back in, or you play with that comfort zone a little bit until it becomes completely natural. Yeah, and you're like completely at ease with that. And and for me, that's like surfing. That's like, I can remember being at home and at my local beach, which doesn't get that big, like, and being absolutely petrified at 2 to 4 foot, petrified. But then you become comfortable with that, and you're like, you know, because you test it, you're a little bit out of your depth, you're a little bit like scared, but it wasn't enough to make me want to go back in. No, it was always like, okay, I'm gonna like keep pushing that, you know, keep prodding it, and then you become the master of like 2 to 4 foot, like, and then it's like, and it is, and that's the train, you know, like, and that's the thing that I love, you know, like now that. And you see it. You see every surfer in Nazaré doing it. Like, you know, like when I first started coming to Nazaré, like, you're just about doing straight handers down the shoulder of a 20-foot wave. You know, you're stoked. Now, like, guys are pulling and getting barreled, doing turns, doing airs. Like, everyone now is completely comfortable. You know, like, I feel like, but now, big waves that I thought were big, you know, 10 years ago, like, people are doing airs on, you know, like getting barreled on, you know, like, so now the new zone, the new realm is, you know, like, you know, where does it stop?
Where do you feel that is going to be the future of big wave surfing? Of course, I heard or read a expression that I really liked, and I carry on. That expression is someone said, like, now you have the aggressive big wave surfing. And like you said, at the beginning, guys were just getting in the shoulder and going to the channel.
Yeah.
And now they are performing. But of course, we're going to be performing. But where do you feel that is going to be? What is going to take?
What it's going to take, you know, like, it's funny, like, it's, yeah, it is, because I think, you know, like, it's hard to imagine it getting any more like progressive than it is now, and there's not a whole heap of guys doing it, but I think that it will become more, you know, like, it will become more like the norm. And I mean, like, with guys doing huge airs on 40-foot waves, or, you know, I think that will become the norm. You know, like, if you think back, like, to the first Nazaré challenge, like, I think it was like probably Kai was the first guy I sort of really saw doing airs, you know, and now there's loads of guys doing like backflips and 360s and, you know, really turning it up a notch. And you know, it just gets more critical. Everything comes, you know, a little bit more critical. So that level has been turned up, and I think now it's just going to get bigger and more critical, you know, with huge risks. Again, which I don't think that people don't really understand, or I don't think the videos or the photos sometimes do those risks justice, you know, like.
Yes, nowadays is like almost looks too easy, right? It's
Yeah.
like you see Shumbo do a 360 on a 40-foot wave and go, and it's just like, oh, it's like I can do it. Almost,
It's just like there's no, yeah, and or some of the turns he does and how critical he does them. You know, like it
makes the wave look smaller sometimes.
Yeah. Well, he's just toying, but that's like I think he in particular is an exception of talent. But yeah, it does, and that's it's nuts. I never thought I'd be still in the game, and seeing it progress that far. But
when you were, you don't like me saying this, but when you were pioneering Nazaré, now when you were on the first projects with Garrett and the whole team, do you imagine seeing what you see today?
No. It was all about those first couple of years was about trying to get to the bottom of a wave, and proving how big it was, and of course, you want to be deep and you want to be critical, but it was never really about, I didn't even think about doing airs or snaps under the lip or, what they're doing now, and I hadn't, it's just. It is just next level, but lots happened. I remember those first couple of years, trying to get flotation and the safety stuff made. I was getting it custom made in England. You couldn't buy it. You couldn't go on your phone and go on the Patagonia website.
That was for sure definitely a game changer.
Yeah, it became more accessible. The first few vests and stuff that I have made were custom made by Tiki, who I'm still sponsored by, and we just designed them ourselves. I want it with no foam at the belly because I want to paddle load of foam on the front and the back, and just trying to stuff as much float in there as possible. But you could still move, and you design. We made a couple things which are really. I made a good paddle vest and a nice toe vest, but yeah, just trying to, make it safer. And Garrett was having whole suits made, way ahead of his. I don't think anyone else was doing that. Anyone, and this is before the pool vests and all that were about and accessible,
Garrett was an inventor for sure. I remember one time they did a board with kind of motor or something.
That was the jet surf.
Yeah, jet surf for paddling.
Yeah.
It's funny, and I feel blessed for being from Nazaré because, not only for my profession, it opened so many doors, but, I'm a bodyboarder and I'm passionate about surfing in general, and living and seeing a sport, the evolution of the sport taking place, being so strong, taking place in front of you. It's so nice, and it's crazy to see. Especially for you, it should be even crazier, but. For me, that was just a spectator, and seeing the evolution from guys just going straight and trying to prove how big is the wave to guys performing on these giant waves is crazy. But talking about competitions and goals, it's you are the kind of guy that have goals and I want to. Still want to do this. I want to win this contest. I want to be invited. I want to surf this wave. What kind of goals you trying to risk now?
I've had goals and written goals down for quite a long time. And it's actually to be fair, it's probably more actually since I met Garrett that he sort of was installing that into me. Because I suppose, I I was 35 when I turned professional, which is pretty like most people are retiring, you know, from like, you know, their sport that they do at that age, you know, and I sort of, and I had loads of mates that were professional surfers, often and they were like coming out of their careers, and I was going into mine. I was always kind of, you know, that's a strange feeling, and but I think the goal setting has definitely helped. It's given me focus. I think otherwise you can end up drifting through, not really knowing, you know, where to put your energy. I found doing the projects, like, to do like one, like to be involved in one big project, whatever that is, you know, and often it doesn't always have to be my project, you know, like it could be like someone else's, but if I don't have it, you know, anything to do, like I try and get some project to focus towards, has always been handy. And then, you know, you have certain goals which are very much out of your like control, so to speak. But as long as I know that I've put everything in to try and make it happen, you know, like, then, you know, I think it's good focus. You know, it's just been the ups and downs. Some years, like, one of my biggest goals is always like, you know, to like win an XXL award or, you know, the biggest wave sort of stuff. And, you know, there definitely has been a few years where you put everything in and you feel like you've done everything you possibly humanly could, and you feel like the decisions don't go your way, and then the next year you punish yourself for that. And it's like, so trying to get out of the habit of punishing myself too much, you know, like, and just like getting on, like, it is what it is, like, you know, just got to enjoy it. So my new motto is like, you know, okay, you got to try. Yeah, you want to perform, but you also want to enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying it, like that, the enjoyment thing has to be the most important thing.
So about enjoying the process, right?
Yeah.
But I like what you said about the goals and how you keep focus, and if you don't have goals, you kind of, and it's like making happening to life. What is that quote? Happening to life instead of life happening to you. Does that make sense like that?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that because I'm someone also a bit Garrett also put it that into me as well. When I travel with him to Hawaii, he's like, I really enjoyed kind of mentor me, like this mindset of, you know, you write what you want, your plan, you know. But it's true, you know, if you don't know where to go, you know, you
end up wondering.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you're not really, and which is nothing. There's nothing wrong with wandering through it and like experiencing things and how they happen. You know, like, but making stuff happen is, and you know, and I think if you do you can make decisions based on that. Then, like, so you're having, like, there's certain decisions which are going to help me achieve my goal, and there's certain decisions that are going to take me away from it. So it's about, if you have to make those right choices, it can help you, you know, move in that right direction. So, yeah, I think, you know, that those, ever since I have been writing those goals down, like, things have definitely happened more towards my favour.
What do you think, I mean, now thinking about a young kid watching this because he's a fan of you, found the video on YouTube, man, don't you believe you have fans?
Not really, no, but
you too helpful. I mean, for sure. Let's imagine that is a kid that looks up to and want to become a big wave surfer. What do you will tell him? What it takes to be a big wave surfer?
I think my first bit of advice would be, like, think long term. Like, I think people want, like, nothing's quick, you know. So be prepared for the marathon, you know. And it's not about, you know, you have to put this. It's a time game, you know. It's reps. Everything's like everything's a gym session, you know. So, you know, for your first season, don't expect too much, you know. and don't get disheartened because it takes time. So that would be, a good bit of advice. The other thing is like get smart, like create things, like vlogs or create, and it's not always up to someone to come looking for you to ask you to do something. It's like it's you got to put time in the surfing and time into the training, but you also got to put time into making it happen. And that's like like creating projects and getting people behind the projects. It doesn't always have to be about you. It doesn't always have to be about you, and that's the other thing. So being involved, like I think the best thing that ever happened to me was being asked to do safety for Garrett, because if you go in that with an ego and go, oh, I'm not doing safety, like it's all got to be about me, like so just being involved with the projects, and I was just there to do safety, enabled me to okay, right, I can do safety, and then I end up driving Garrett, and then just from driving Garrett, I learned so much, and then obviously he can't surf all the time, so he's going to want to drive me at some point, and then before you know it, you're getting towed into waves, and I wasn't even really there to surf, like I was there to help Garrett, as a safety driver initially, and then it sort of evolves. So yeah, it doesn't always have to be about you. It can be about someone else, and that can still be enough.
That's great advices. Just to finish, I have this standard question that I ask everyone. What's your vision? What do you see Cotty? What you think Cotty, when he's old, guys, is going to tell his grandkids?
Wow, what's your vision? That's a tough question, but a good one. What's my vision? I still like, my vision, like I'd still just bottom turning on like the biggest, classiest waves imaginable. That's my vision. And that's like that for me is like going Mach 10 and just like putting it on a rail and getting super low and driving off the bottom and going fast, like on the biggest waves. That's like, I can live off that feeling for a long time, and if that's, when I'm 90 or whatever I want to get, like, if that's one story that I could tell my grandkids or whoever listens to me, wherever I am, it'd be like, yeah, like I did the sickest bottom turn on like the biggest wave ever, in Ireland or in Nazaré or in Cortez Banks or, like whatever, like whatever. It doesn't matter where it is.
That's in the bank already. That story you're gonna have to tell your grandkids,
But that's going fast and putting it on rail and getting low. Like that's I dream about that.
Perfect. Cotty, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.